What if I told you that there was a secret rushing training method that overloads the eccentric portion of a stretch shortening cycle, such that you can increase the stiffness of your muscle tendon unit? What if I was just kind of exaggerating reviews because plyos are just another tool in the toolbox? What's up, guys? Welcome back, and you already know what time it is. I'm doing the most specific and intense training of the year, trying to emulate some of the forces we see in a max effort approach jump. As I said, I'm really trying to overload the eccentric portion of movements that are similar in range of motion and speeds in ground contact times to the activity that I'm training for. When I think of this style of training, what helps me visualize it is almost if you were to catch a falling asteroid and throw it back into space as fast as possible, or if you were to stop a moving train and send it back on the tracks to where it came from. You're not only just handling the eccentric forces, but you're amortizing a bunch of momentum from one direction and sending it or reversing it in a different direction. And that's a really critical component of the intent and the cues that I use in these specific exercises. Right here, I'm dropping a relatively high amount of weight onto a single leg as fast as possible. And I'm not just trying to stop this weight, I'm trying to push it up concentrically during the entire movement, even though the joint is lengthening eccentrically for the first half of the movement. And that's somewhat specific to the act of an approach jump. Now, of course, as I said in my last video, you always want some degree of separation in the weight room from the specific activity that you're training for. Otherwise, we would just jump with weighted vests all day. But it's definitely more nuanced than that. As we know, we want to go from volume to intensity, general to specific, and this is about the most intense and specific training that you can possibly conceive of. So I definitely think it has a place in maybe not everyone's training, especially if you have a lower training age, but I think I'm at the point where I really need something to move the needle, especially since my joint stiffness and proficiency in stretch shortening cycles isn't really that good. While my tendons are pretty stiff and I've built up a decent amount of general strength, I have to teach my body to be able to be reactively strong and to be able to use my muscles to stretch my tendons within the context of a stretch shortening cycle. So I'm still working on that, and I think this is going to be really helpful to busting through this plateau that I've been in for the past year. I've also been implementing this periodization with my upper body training as well, as you saw in those past clips, and I really focused on dropping into all of my upper body movements, and I've definitely noticed a huge improvement with all of my lifts and just how I feel as a generally strong athlete. Unfortunately, since the training is so specific, I'm also very fatigued right now, so I'm not jumping too high, but I'm definitely going to keep staying the course.